So if it's usually unlawful for a council to tell you to wait until the bailiff comes before they can help, why is it councils across the country are still doing that? Why are they still giving that advice out? And the answer is, really, the amount of compensation they're going to have to pay if they get caught is not a great deal of money. I've been going through some LGSEO decisions recently, some local government and social care ombudsman. Just as an aside, if you're new to the channel, the ombudsman is basically the body which is set up to monitor and investigate potential failures and look at councils. So they're not technically part of the government, but they have authority over councils, and they can't make councils pay compensation, but they can basically, you know, ask very, very nicely, and almost every time the council will follow their recommendations. And so if we just look at this one example, there's many of them on the LGSEO website. There's a whole database. I've got another video to do about that at some point, because I've basically made a kind of a database of these decisions that are useful. This one just happens to be about Thurrock, but there's lots of ones like it. And here we see the applicant approaches Thurrock Council for assistance, and they basically say, yeah, you need to wait till the bailiff comes. The LGSEO decision explains why that's unlawful, and I've done other videos about why it's unlawful. But as I say, the question for this video is, why are councils still doing it? And the answer is, as in this case, the council will effectively have to pay the court costs, which are going to be 300 or 400 quid, and as an example here, a payment of £500 for the distress and uncertainty caused by the issue. But that's not a lot of money. Councils know that if they get caught, and they probably won't get caught because most people don't challenge councils, they know that even if they were to get caught, yes, there's a very small amount of bad publicity, but essentially even if they pay the recommended compensation, it's still cheaper to do that than it would be to house that person or that family in temporary accommodation from the point of the Section 21 expiring, which in most cases is when that person does become homeless, and when the interim accommodation duty would kick in if there is also reason to believe they might be eligible and might have a priority need. So, as I say, we're about to see the Renters' Right Act come in later this year at some point. I'm recording this video in May 2025, but again, hopefully later this year we're going to see it. But in one sense, that does not necessarily mean that you still won't be able to claim compensation if that's what the council did. Basically, the LGSEO in normal circumstances will investigate complaints up to 12 months after they happened. So there, in theory, could still be cases that happen in the next few months, which, you know, once you kind of get yourself sorted out, you might want to return to, you know, in a year's time or something from now, to actually raise that as a formal complaint and go down that route and potentially get a bit of compensation, but it's not a lot. Quite often what you'll see is those kind of complaints are wrapped up in other sort of issues like unsuitable temporary accommodation, which are actually worth a lot more money generally. So, but yeah, as I say, that's why they do it. I guess the other reason they do it is that everyone in the sector allows them to do it, so you don't really get much pushback from charities or, you know, kind of other local authorities or anything like that. So in one sense, it's kind of happening in broad daylight, and it does cause a tremendous amount of stress to the people going through it. As I say, that's what happens, but that does not mean to say that individuals who might watch this video can't go ahead and claim compensation. Just follow the usual route. So there's a video on the channel called The Best Way to Make a Complaint, which basically just details the steps you really want to take rather than just kind of rushing in and potentially not doing a great job in the first instance. You want to get it right from the start, and potentially you might be looking at payments of something like 500 quid for the distress that the failure caused. But yeah, hopefully that's useful.